Hey gang, I'm back. Got a new office, new everything, but I want you to know that I am dedicated to giving you the same high quality content delivered with subpar equipment. But hey, I did want to mention now, continuing on our Unlocking Your Dreams series, part three, the last one was about dream characters. And I had a couple of folks comment, what about animals? Well, animals count as characters. So you do the same thing that you would with any other kind of character. In fact, animals are a special kind of character because they're animals. And so that clearly reflects the unconscious's desire to depict an instinctive kind of force within us or within life in general and depict it as if it were an animal. So you can do the same kind of process. So, what are we talking about today? So, today's subject is environments in dreams. Now, this is how you want to take a look at environments. Essentially, it's using the same principles that I've talked about already. That is, the unconscious has its own thoughts. It is more objective, however, and free of ego defenses, but it is aware of your ego defenses. It has no need for deception, and it's constantly working towards self regulation and integration. So it's extremely useful because of that. Dynamic types of therapy involve connecting the ego to the unconscious, both the personal and collective, if you make that distinction. There's a lot of ways to do this. Obviously, Jungian therapy, the background that I come from, but also you can see this in various types of hypnotherapy, in particular Ericksonian hypnotherapy, and any sort of psychodynamic therapy that involves looking at dreams. In these various traditions, dreams are typically seen as unconscious expressions of your current situation, but in images and emotion laden embodied metaphors. And environments are no exception. They depict the mood, the background, and the bigger picture or the setting of your situation. So let's use a couple of examples here. There's a lot of different ways that you can, that the unconscious can depict a given current situation. For example, flying. Flying is one way that the unconscious represents freedom, but also disconnection from the earth. So it all kind of depends on the context that it's being used. Underwater, that's another one for going down into a more flooded environment. Remember, you have to think about the ways that these are being used metaphorically, not literally. Um, what about like wandering around through mazes or dungeons? These would be representations of your current state as being as if you were in a maze, as if you were locked in a dungeon. Even if it's not locked necessarily, being in a dungeon is not a pleasant place. So it's a way of depicting your current mood, your current situation, how everything looks to the ego and how it's perceived by you. So, like I said before, the unconscious knows of the ego defenses and it will depict things with them in place and as part of the context. But it also is constructing things outside of those defenses. So it, for that reason, gives you a more objective point of view of what's going on. So it's really helpful for that. Another example would be constricting tunnels. I've seen this a couple of times when people are going through really tough times in their lives and they feel very just squashed or clamped down on, like they can't express themselves. They can't really get their feelings out. They can't express themselves in the environment. Well, that's as if you're crawling your way through these very claustrophobic and constricting tunnels. Hot and cold, that's another one. I've talked elsewhere about how heat often correlates with passion or anger or intense affect, and that's just because of our embodiedness and how our temperature actually rises when we're in these emotional states. So that's a great thing for the unconscious to use, and that also makes it universal because all of us have the same physiology as Homo sapiens. I've talked about light and darkness, a lot about that. It has to do with our vision system. It has to do with the clarity and safety and knowledge that we can obtain in situations of light versus darkness, where all those things are much more difficult for us. If we were nocturnal animals with great night vision, obviously we wouldn't make those images, but we do, of course. Snow, right? Deserts, so those kinds of things have different emotional meanings because, again, the unconscious is trying to construct a narrative in images and symbols of how things are going for you right now, how you feel right now. And it's very emotionally focused. So as a last part of this, I want you to take a look at this next dream that I'm going to share with you. This is a dream I've talked about in some of my scholarly articles, and I want to share it with you guys here to see what you all think. So here's the dream. I'm in a tall vertical apartment on the top floor where I'm to celebrate the birthday of the great-grandmother, who is a very large and jovial woman. Then I find myself downstairs in bed with a small person who is both male and female features, whom I'm supposed to date. So they send me, but that doesn't happen. They send me alone into a desert in the night where I wander for along in the darkness past dry, crumbled buildings and ruins. They're empty and lonely until I come upon a great dune. When I cross the dune, day comes and I see hundreds of people playing on an ocean of extremely vivid, almost glowing blue. It's unfathomably deep and rich. And I don't merely guess, but know that this ocean is God and it's alive. And she is our great mother. And I wake up in tears because it's so beautiful. So my assignment for you is that, given what you've learned in the first 3 episodes of my Unlocking Your Dreams series here on the Imaginarium, what do you think is going on with this dream? What is it a picture of? What is this dreamer currently going through according to that dreamer's unconscious and according to the symbols and images that they are using to construct this dream? Take a special note of the environments in this case. It's very telling. And until next time, I'll see you.